Hi, Nick Morin here with LEA Professional, here to guide you through the process of using SharkWare, our advanced amplifier control software. In this first section, I'm going to show you the basic navigation of SharkWare. We see in the upper left-hand corner of my screen, I am in the offline design mode at the amp level. To create a virtual rack in the offline state, we would click on the amp section within the toolbar and select the appropriate models. Next, we see if we had devices on the network where they would be discovered. We can also add spacers to our rack, add tags for tracking purposes throughout the design workflow, create custom control groups, and apply general labels to the design. Once you've completed the process of creating control groups, you will then need to click the expansion arrow on the Offline Design tab and click the Group Design subsection to modify the settings within any given control group. You will also see that within the Online Design mode, we have those same subsections for amp configuration as well as group. Next, we're going to go through the process of building an amp rack. If you expand the amp menu in the toolbar, we select the appropriate models for the design. In this example, we're going to use a 354N. By highlighting that model and clicking within the canvas work area, it generates a rack automatically. Additionally, I'm going to add a 702N. And you'll see while hovering over the existing amp within the virtual rack, I can choose the location of the additional amplifier. Now that we've populated the rack with the appropriate amplifier models, we'll see that we can go into each amp individually and make all the appropriate settings adjustments, very similar to our web interface. Alternatively, we can also make adjustments to the amplifiers at a group level. So here I'm going to show you, we click back on the Overview tab, and now we navigate down to our toolbar to the Group section. The next step in creating a custom control group is clicking the plus sign, creating a name. For this example, we are saying that these amplifiers are going to be applied in a hotel setting. So we're going to say lobby, and we can assign a color to each individual control group. And now we highlight the created group and choose which channels are associated with that particular group. I have assigned channels 1 and 2 of the 702 amplifier to the lobby control group. Something to note with control groups is that as many groups as needed can be created, and each channel can be assigned to as many control groups as required. So next we're going to assign or create a control group named Pool, and then associate channel 3 of the 354N with that control group, as well as a control group named Fitness Center. And we are going to associate channel 4 of the 354N to that control group. Another example of the use of control groups is creating an overall master group. I'm going to say all zones and assign a unique color and go back to each individual channel and associate it with this new master control group. As a friendly reminder, make sure to save the file often. This can be done via the button in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, or alternatively, your Control-S shortcut. Now that we're done creating the custom control groups, we need to navigate up to the Offline Design tab, select the drop-down and enter the group design menu. Within this menu, we see all of the custom control groups that we have created. And if we click on any given group, we see that SharkWare automatically generates a master control fader across all associated channels, as well as a master mute control. Next, let's look at the level of control adjustments that can be made at the group level. We're now going to select the lobby control group, and we see where we can go into the input selection page and assign the input settings for those channels, as well as the output settings, any associated signal generator functions, crossover EQ. Here we see an example of how we would use the new graphical EQ section of SharkWare. Now we're going to say that we have completed all of the necessary adjustments at the group level. So we're going to navigate up to the offline design arrow and go back to the amp design section, where I can now show you the use of spacers. Let's say in this example that we need to incorporate the use of a network switch within the rack. I can apply the label to the spacer and then choose the location within the rack I desire that spacer to be. Next, we're going to talk about tags. The purpose of tags is for identification throughout any step within the workflow. For example, if we create a tag that says lobby, we can again assign a unique color code to that tag and then choose whether we apply it to the overall rack or the individual amp level. Since this 702N is part of the lobby system, I'm going to click on the 702N and we see that that lobby tag is now applied to that amplifier. Next, we're going to talk about labels. Labels are a general purpose identification tool. For example, we can apply a label referring to the location of this rack. Now that we're done with the offline design portion of the file, we need to make sure to save our settings to the file. And now we're going to synchronize the settings saved within the file to our amplifiers. We now see that within the Discover Device menu, we have two devices that match the models within the design. If I select the 354 and hover over the one within the virtual rack and click, we see that now there is a status bar appearing that it is on the network, but it is also not synchronized. We do the same for our 702N, and now navigate to the upper right corner of our screen and click the Save and Sync button. It is going to give us a prompt indicating that saving and syncing will save the changed settings to the file and push them to the network amp at the same time. So we will click the Save and Sync button. We will get a report back whether this function is successful or not. Now that we've completed synchronization of the settings from the offline design file into the amplifiers, it's time to transition into the online design tab. And we see now that again, we can enter into each amplifier individually for adjustment of those settings, or we can choose from the group design mode and select from each individual group control for necessary adjustments. Once we make any of these adjustments, we see that in the upper right-hand corner of our screen, there is now a synchronization button. We must click this to ensure that all settings are now saved to the file. To prevent unwanted tampering of those settings, we would now enable user access controls. This can be done in the upper right corner of your screen. Now toggle the enable button and select an admin username. In this example, we will say LEA Pro and assign a password to that username. Now that we have enabled user access control, we see that at the admin level, we have read-write access or control over any adjustable parameter within the amplifier. User access control is a role-based platform that allows you to create as many roles as needed and as many usernames. Each username and role level has the ability to select the level of control or access permitted. Thanks for joining us for today's video. If you have any additional questions, leave it in the comments below. See you in the next one.